Welcome to this Business Basics Hub Explainer. If you're a new business owner, I bet you've already run into that absolute alphabet soup of tax IDs, right? SSN, EIN, TIN, ITIN. Honestly, it's enough to make your head spin. But hey, today, we're going to clear all of that up and make it incredibly simple for you. We're zeroing in on the difference between a TIN and an ITN, what they actually are, and exactly how you can get your hands on one.
Now, real quick before we jump in, just take a peek at our standard disclaimer. This explainer is for general educational purposes only, so it's not legal, tax, or financial advice. Definitely reach out to a qualified pro for guidance on your specific business situation.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. 1. The tax ID umbrella. 2. Why it matters. 3. How to apply. And 4. Common beginner mistakes. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. The tax ID umbrella. Understanding the basics.
So here's the absolutely crucial point. A TIN, which stands for Taxpayer Identification Number. Well, it isn't actually a single specific number you apply for. Instead, I want you to think of it as the government's broad umbrella term for any tax tracking number. A lot of beginners, they think a TIN is just one specific thing, or maybe they think it's only for businesses. But no, that's just not true. Individuals use TINs too. Fun fact for you, the IRS processes hundreds of millions of tax returns, and literally every single one relies on this umbrella system. So TIN is simply the category name. If someone asks for your TIN, like say when you're filling out a W-9 form for a new client, they're really just asking for whichever specific tax identification number applies to you or your business. To put it plainly, it's just the overarching system the IRS uses to keep track of who's who.
And this really hits the nail on the head when it comes to the difference. TIN is the overarching umbrella, right? And underneath that umbrella, you've got 5 main types of numbers. You've got the SSN, the Social Security number for U.S. citizens and authorized residents. You've got the EIN, which is the Employer Identification Number used for businesses, estates, and nonprofits. There are also a couple of specialized ones, like the ATN for adoptions and the PTN for paid tax preparers. And then you have the ITN. The ITN, or Individual Taxpayer Identification Number, is just one specific number tucked right there under the TIN umbrella. It's a 9-digit number created specifically for folks who have U.S. tax obligations but just cannot get a Social Security number. So if you take nothing else away, remember this golden rule. Every ITN is a TIN, but absolutely not every TIN is an ITN.
Section 2. Why it matters. Business compliance.
Okay, so having the correct tax ID under that umbrella is absolutely vital for your business. Why? Well, because it's literally the only way the government connects your business activity, your income, and your reporting documents to the right person. Without the correct TIN, your federal tax returns can be straight up rejected. And trust me, that's a massive headache you want to avoid for sure. Plus, it's required for opening state tax accounts. Now, states don't usually make you get a separate state TIN just because you exist, but they will absolutely ask for your federal TIN when you need to register for payroll, collect sales tax, or open an unemployment account. Finally, if you're a foreign national trying to claim certain tax treaty benefits, to reduce withholding taxes on your income, you've got to have a valid TIN on file. It truly is the entire foundation of your business compliance.
Section 3. How to apply. Getting your number.
Now, a super common question we get from beginners setting up their business is, hey, can I just go online and ask the IRS for a generic TIN? They see forms asking for a TIN and naturally assume there's just one master form for it. Well, the answer is a big no, because as we just learned, TIN is just a category. You actually have to apply for the specific type of number you need. If you need a number for your business entity, you're going to apply for an EIN. But if you're a non-resident, a foreign national, or someone who has to file U.S. taxes but cannot get a Social Security number, well, then you need to apply for an ITIN.
And you know what? The ITIN application process is actually incredibly straightforward if you just follow these 5 exact steps. Step 1. Double check that you definitely cannot get a Social Security number. An ITIN is only for folks who aren't eligible for an SSN. Step 2. Download and complete IRS Form W-7. Now, be extremely careful here. The form has specific reason codes, numbered 1 through 8. Selecting the wrong reason, that's a huge cause for rejection. Step 3, in most cases, you actually have to attach your federal tax return right to this form. You usually don't apply for an ITIN all by itself. You apply when you're actually filing your taxes. Step 4, and this is where most people mess up, gather your identity documents. The IRS requires original documents or certified copies from the issuing agency. Please, never send a basic photocopy. A valid passport is the absolute gold standard here because it proves both your identity and your foreign status all in one go. Finally, step 5, submit everything to the IRS. You can do this by mail, in person at an IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center, or through an authorized certifying acceptance agent, which is great if you want to avoid risking your original passport in the mail. Oh, and keep in mind, if you don't use your ITIN on a tax return for 3 consecutive years, it's going to expire and you'll have to renew it, so keep it active.
Section 4.
Common beginner mistakes, traps to avoid.
All right, please don't fall into these common traps that we see beginners make all the time. First, thinking TIN and EIN are the exact same thing. Actually, scratch that. It's more like thinking they are interchangeable. Remember, EIN is just one specific type of TIN used for businesses. Second, and this is a massive misconception, believing an ITIN authorizes you to work legally in the United States. It absolutely does not. An ITIN is issued purely for federal tax reporting. That's it. It doesn't give you work authorization, it doesn't change your immigration status, and no, it doesn't make you eligible for Social Security benefits. And third, assuming you must have an ITIN to get an EIN for your business. Total myth. If you're a non-U.S. resident who owns a U.S. business entity, like an LLC for example, you can totally obtain an EIN for that business without ever having an ITIN. EINs identify the business, while ITINs identify the individual. They are completely independent of each other.
Okay, before we wrap up today, please just keep our standard disclaimer in mind as you move forward with your business journey. This explainer is for educational purposes and definitely isn't a substitute for professional legal or tax advice. Always consult a pro for your specific situation.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer on TINs and ITINs. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. If you found this helpful, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications for future Business Basics Hub content, and go ahead and smash that like button. Before you go, I want you to ask yourself something. Based on your current business structure, which tax ID do you need to secure tomorrow? Keep learning, best of luck with the business, and we'll see you in the next explainer.